weekend. You'll enjoy it. All right, let's keep talking about entertainment. We've got Jere Shea with us. Hey, Jere, how are you?
Hey, Ray, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been some time.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You may notice in your inbox there's an email from me panicking. I was trying to get on the right browser to get in here, but it's all set.
Oh, you got it. Good. Okay. I
Please disregard my email.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
So I'm almost done with the first season of City on a Hill, and I'm almost afraid to ask if don't okay. All right, I don't want to ask. I don't even want to know.
I wouldn't get in trouble at this point. I could tell you, but I don't want to.
I don't want to know. I already have an idea. Did you go out in a ball like a ball of flames, or no? I don't want to know.
How much do you know? I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's tuning. A lot of my friends are just finding out what's happening by the end of the season. I'm getting texts at 1, 2 in the morning from the other coast, saying, "What the hell?"
Okay,
they have no idea what's happening.
So here's your character, by the way, Hank Signa.
Yeah.
And that trench coat is almost like a secondary character in the show.
Yeah, it sure was. That actually, I did get to wear a trench coat for, I guess maybe a third of the episodes there too. But it felt like it was part of Hank Signa's signature look for sure. Yeah.
It was. I mean, you go to this is set in what, the late 80s, early 90s?
92. But of course, Hank is a little older than the guy, so he's probably stuck back in the 80s a little bit. We had fun.
Like Columbo, that's I think of people like Columbo.
You sound like my sister-in-law. She said, "You look like Columbo."
And here's you in an office setting without the trench coat,
right?
But you're working with the likes of Kevin Bacon, who's amazing in this.
He sure is.
And you know who else? Yeah. I mean, everybody in the show is amazing. And how did the show come about? I mean, you're not just and featuring. Actually, that's a good thing to say, right? At the end of the credits is and featuring. You don't come up after the credits. You are in the credits.
Yeah, I guess it's there's a whole sort of hierarchy around that. It's business related. It depends on who your agent is and sort of when you're cast, but there are certain people who negotiate, who they ask to be part of the regular cast, and that's typically the people that you'll see before the title pops up. The main title people, and they call it like single card billing. So your name comes up alone, and then they'll have the guest stars and this series, recurring roles, and then guest starring people too. So there's sort of, as you get used to seeing, oh, okay, so this person's probably going to be in a few episodes, but generally the people you see at the beginning, the first half a dozen or so names are going to be people you'll see over and over again, which happened to be my case in this project, which was kind of nice.
And then you get the names that are kind of offset. And I think I know this. They argued about who was going to go first. And they said, well, I'll go first, but I'll be lower than you. You'll still be higher, but you'll be second. You see that on like movie posters sometimes, right?
It's so visual. You'll see names. The person who's front and center will be a little bit big. If there's like 3 people's faces in a row, there'll be one in the middle that's a little bit forward of the other 2, and and the one on the end is probably lucky to be there, maybe on the poster. But the guy, it's just really, there's a whole thing around that. And I just let my reps handle that.
I just want my name on it.
It's good to be working, man. That's all I can say. And billing does have business ramifications for sure. It's linked to other things, and longevity and frequency of employment. What's that?
It's not all ego.
Yeah, it's definitely not all ego. There's some importance to it, but it's a good recognition. I mean, you get a guy like Kevin Bacon, Aldous Hodge, Sarah Shahi, Jill Hennessy. I could go on. Mark O'Brien, Jonathan Tucker, Amanda Clayton, who's amazing. They're all just people who, Kevin Chapman. These are guys who have been at it, paying their dues for a long time, and they deserve it. The recognition itself is important to people like that.
You got a Culkin in that too. Is it Rory?
Rory Culkin? Yeah,
he's amazing.
He's phenomenal in this series. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. People are catching up on season 1 for season 2, but he's just a really nice guy too. Just so grounded, down to earth. But he's a guy who could just play anything. He's always really interesting to watch.
It's a fun show. It's based in Boston in '92. So there's a lot of accents. Now, you've been trained as an actor. So much like myself in radio, I don't have a New England accent anymore. I'm sure they came to you, and it's probably other people, I'm sure, that came up in Boston, in Massachusetts. But did they look to you as, well, you're from the area, help me with this accent?
You know, every once in a while, I try not to offer that. You know, people, I've just become friends with everybody in the project, you know, virtually. So we can all be very candid, and people say, hey, wait, am I doing this right? Or there may be something. And I worked in politics and you know, on Beacon Hill and, you know, the governor's office. And so a lot of the stuff that was in the storyline itself, people would say, what's this job? What does this person do? That sort of thing. But just if someone would ask me for help. But with the accent, I think everybody locked in on it pretty quickly. They came, people hired coaches, or they were given a coach. I came with the accent. You know, it's just interesting. My accent comes and goes with my fatigue level. You know?
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon's been in Boston movies before.
He has. He's done a few. He's done a few, Mystic River and several other things. And in fact, we were at his apartment when we were about to start shooting 2 years ago now, which is amazing to me. But we were all just joking around, and I said, "Hey, if you do one more cop role in Boston, I think the state has to give you a pension." So, you know, I don't know if he's looked into that, but I hope it's true.
How's your music?
It's coming along, and I haven't been playing out like, you know, like a lot of people. I've been doing some little shows for assisted living centers, that sort of thing. I've been taping some things to share with them just privately, just to kind of help boys' spirits. But I haven't been playing out like most of the places I played. Some of them are shut down for a while, taking little hiatuses, and it's tough on the musicians. So I look at it like I don't do it full time. I wish I could do it full time, but if there's a full-time musician out there, I'm going to let them go out to get their gigs going again before I start, you know, picking up the phone and offering my services. So.
That's how I felt. I have a lot of friends that relied on gig money for 3, sometimes 4 nights a week, whereas I have a job. I did it for fun. Nice extra money. But I was happy to see that my friends are getting back into it now, because a lot of places are allowing acoustic music. So now I've got my friends that are out there 2 or 3 nights again. And I'm glad to see that it's coming back slowly.
I am too. And with the good weather too, I'll start to play out again. I actually was speaking with someone the other day about probably getting some dates in April. It'll be outdoor venues and things. It's just fun. I just enjoy it. And over the winter, I started picking up little pedals, loopers, and harmonizers and everything else to kind of beef things up, take it to the next level. I'm just having some fun with it.
A lot of people don't know that Kevin Bacon is also a musician, the Bacon brothers. Did you guys get a chance to jam at all while you spent time together?
We always talked about it, but whenever we were together, we were cranking away on something. I saw him every day, but we never really had time to sit and jam. Jill Hennessy is another. She's a singer-songwriter too, and plays Jackie Rohr's wife in it too. I think there was one day I always had a guitar around in my trailer and or in my dressing room, and I every once in a while I'd videotape something and I'd send it to them, you know what I mean, just to say like, okay, we posted up, we almost jammed today, but there was no time to really sit on that show. The pace is really, really fast. But I hope in the future our paths cross and we can do a little jamming. It'd be fun.
Well, I was going to say, I think we could talk to Kelly over at Hopkinton Center for the Arts and maybe put together like a City on the Hill showcase with all of you guys. Right?
I would. Your lips to God's ears. If I could get Jill and Kevin in a room, that would be something.
Well, I mentioned Kelly Grill from the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. She's amazing. The whole team over there is amazing. You're working closely with them. You have been for a long time, but you have a new web series, and it's called The Journey. Yeah. And you have a lot of really interesting people. I was able to catch a few episodes. Good. I caught that one right there with Amanda Clayton. Yeah. And she's got a great story. She went to school in Rhode Island, right?
That's right. She did. She sure did. And she's just one of those people who's been at it. I think of her, so many people that I work with. She's a friend. She's been a friend for about 3 years now. We were brought together because we were doing City on a Hill, and her husband, Kevin Interdonato, was another guest on the show an episode or two before her.
Yeah, he's actually right there.
Yeah, there he is. And they're just such salt of the earth, down to earth people. But their stories are, and I would say everyone to a nose on this season. Their stories are so unique, and everyone's so forthcoming about what it's really like to grind away and get a foothold in this business, and to make it, once you start getting traction, what do you do then? And the things that can happen to you and for you, and everyone was just so open and honest about what it's really, you know, what the truth of that journey is about. So I encourage people to check it out. Boris MacGyver is the next. It will be, here he is. He is an old friend from NYU. And he is going to be in our season finale. I hope we get more seasons in the future if we can all put together the time to do this next year. But Boris is another person who's been grinding away for years and has had some tremendous successes, ups and downs. And Tade Mwine is another actor who's on a classmate from NYU. Lauren Banks, and a friend, David Zabel was the first. He was the premiere, I guess the pilot of the series this year. He's a friend from NYU as well, and he went on to be a tremendously successful writer and producer. He's created several television shows. He was the showrunner on ER for a few years toward the end there. But they all have their angle on it. They all have their story, and you'll find that there's no traditional path to getting into this business.
I was going to say, do you notice a similarity with everybody in their path, or is it just like you said, just very random?
You know, I think the one similarity, it would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to say, you know, to find too many similarities, because really each person's story is so personal to them. You know, really what inspired them to the business, how they got their first break, how long it took them to get their first break. All that stuff is just so personal to each one of them that it's. The one thing that I would say, or the two things I think are, you know, number one, incredible talent. You've got to be really good at what you do. And the other thing is tenacity, perseverance. And they were unshakable in the faith that they could do this. They could do this for a living, and that sooner or later the dam would break and things would really start to come into place for them.
And they have for Amanda. I mean, you were reading off her credit list, and I probably saw half the things she was in, didn't realize it was her. That's how well she blends in, especially with City on a Hill. Her character's amazing. And then what did she do? A Lifetime movie, I believe, or
she's in a Lifetime movie. She was on Tyler Perry's series. She's just worked with some of the great Oprah Winfrey. She's just worked with so many incredible producers and actors. She was the wife in the Keanu Reeves' wife in was it Jack Reacher? I'm blanking on the name of the film, but she's had some really great opportunities early on in her career too. And then, you know, like everybody else, things slow down. Things sort of can feel like they're grinding to a halt, and you kind of work your way back up, do independent films, short films, television. And it's just, she's on, I think, starting to rise again. She is one of those people that I consider, there's a handful of people that I know personally that, like, they're actors. Her husband, coincidentally, is another actor's actor, just really consummate actor, and just a real professional who can write, who can produce. But Amanda is incredible on City on a Hill. She was just so true to that role because she's from Rhode Island. She's from the area. She had the accent down perfectly, obviously, and if anybody sees her work on that show, every scene is just no punches pulled at all. Yeah. She's really fun to watch.
I really enjoyed Kevin in Bad Frank, which is
you saw it. Yeah.
If anybody gets a chance to see that, that's such a fantastic movie. And then Boris always has this, like, he's smirking a little bit here, very intimidating character actor, usually plays the heavy, but he's an amazing presence on film.
He is on film and off too. He's a real fun guy, and just a real character who's just incredibly bright. And if you watch the episode, you can see my admiration for him. I learned so much having him just in my class. You know, he was just a few years older than me, had been around a little bit longer. You know, cranking away in the business as an actor and as a student as well. But just the way he would phrase something in terms of, you know, a concept in class. I just felt so fortunate that he was in class with me. I learned so much more because he was alongside me. You know.
Jerry, I know that you took some time off. You did a lot of acting, a lot of theater. You were in the yards with Mark, with the other Wahlberg.
Southie. I was
Southie. You were in the yards. That was the other one that I was thinking of. No, Southie, right?
Southie. Yep.
Okay. You're an educator, of course. So, and you worked in politics, like you said. So you haven't always been on screen. And then a friend of yours said, "Why don't you come do this Showtime series with us?" Have the stories you've been getting out of these actors, some up and coming, some seasoned actors, has that inspired you to continue with your career?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, and I should say, as these guys know, I'm all in. You know, I had a really great opportunity to do this show. It was something that, I wouldn't say fell into my lap, because, you know, people know that I'm open to it. You know, it's just, it was the right time in my life, and friends knew it was the right time in my life to ask me to do it. Over the years, there have been other opportunities to do projects, and it's just not been. It's like I've either just signed a contract to work in Massachusetts doing something completely different, or just taking another opportunity, or just move somewhere, and it just doesn't work. But this just happened to be the perfect time to do it. That said, once you're in and you're a series regular on a TV show, you don't really have time for anything else. So I had to clear the slate in many ways. So it's one of the things you can't really do it halfway. You can't be you can't be on a television series and expect to be doing other things. I thought I would be able to do that. To be honest with you, when I first was approached about this, I said, "Oh, maybe I'll keep my day job." And then, you know, because it was presented to me that way, initially, because I was doing something else for work, but it became quickly clear that very, very clear quickly that once the contracts and everything came around, that I was just not going to be able to mess around. It takes full focus to do that kind of work, and as a result, my agent and my manager were all just committed to keeping the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, they'll find something else for you. And whatever you do, I know you're going to be successful at it. You're a very talented individual, whether it's music. I'd love to hear more of your music. Love to see you more on the screen. And I'd love to see more of these web shows. The Journey is what it's called. And you can find it on YouTube. I know you can go through
you can
Center for the Arts.
You can. hopartscenter.org is the URL for the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. You can also just go to the Hopkinton Center for the Arts YouTube channel. Or if you just Google or just YouTube my name, Jere Shea, The Journey, that should pop up for you as well. And all these episodes, Boris MacGyver's is the last one, and that's posting up on the 8th of April. And at that point, they'll all be up, and feel free to check them out especially if you're a student or just a student of film and TV. There's so many different angles on what they do. We have Angela Perry, who's a casting director as well. As I said, producers, directors, actors, writers. There's something for everybody on the series, and we hope if we get funding for next year, we're looking for a sponsor or two that we'll do more of these and bring in some more great artists, and all my friends know that they're going to be on the hook sooner or later. I'll probably be calling you, Ray. So be ready for it.
Let me ask you this question. I'm 49 years old. Is it too late for me?
No,
it's not. Okay, I just want to hear that from somebody in the business.
It's not. It just is not. I mean, it's. Hollywood needs one of everybody. They need people, real people, and people of different ages. Hey, look, if it could happen for me at this point in my life, I was 20 years out of the business, essentially completely. There were exceptions, through the years. I would go and do something in New York. Every once in a while, I would do something, and it would fall into place, and I had the time to do it. But no, I mean, to have something happen at this point in my life, like City on a Hill, was phenomenal. And I've worked at it. I've trained. I was ready for it. But if it's something you want to work at and you want to pursue it as a craft and as a business, I've seen people older than you and me start in on getting their first films. Look at some of the great character actors from the 70s and 80s. You'll find a lot of them are retired professionals, retired cops, lawyers. Pretty interesting crew.
Well, I know you teach classes, so I may have to take one of those classes soon.
I would love to have you.
I mean, I've got a resume. I was Horton in Seussical at Milford Performing Arts Center. And then I had more of a comedic role with my man on the couch, which is the man in the chair, and Drazi's chaperone. So,
well, you sure buried the lead here. Why don't you just start the conversation with those two roles?
I'm
You're too modest.
I'm fishing for a role. So you gotta hook me up. Jere, thank you so much. It was great to see you.
Ray, I just wanted to say real quickly, the HCA has a Milford Day, so I know you're a Milford guy.
Yes.
So at the HCA on June 25th, if there's Willie J. Laws is going to be performing a concert there. Milford residents get a free gift. We want to see you, Milford people in Hopkinton, at the Center for the Arts. It's Friday, June 25th, and we have our summer series going up all summer right through September, starting in mid-June as well. So come on by.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of that. And thank you, Kelly, for all the hard work she does. And I should tell everybody that we're working with the Hopkins Center for the Arts with this radio station. So we will have 4 or 6 tickets to give away for every performance this year.
That's great.
So be listening to the radio station for a chance to win.
Great.
And if you don't win, buy the tickets.
Yeah. As always, Ray, thanks so much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jere, take care.
Thanks, my friend.
Bye-bye. Jere Shea, what a stand-up guy. Love that guy. All right.